Hi green lovers! It is the 23rd of June and I wanted to do a video for you on pruning peppers. Now, I have heard mixed reviews on whether or not pruning peppers is a good idea. There are gardeners on YouTube like John from Growing Your Greens who advises against pruning peppers. He's never pruned them. He has amazing harvests. He lives in San Diego. That might have something to do with it. Not really sure. And then there's Scott Head from Black Gumbo who advises that you do prune your peppers, especially when you have long, lanky ones. So again, I think there's no right or wrong. It's whatever works for you, your location, what you have success with. So I decided that I would do an experiment myself to see whether pruning peppers was a good idea for my location, for my garden. So here I've got a patch of peppers that are ready to be pruned. I've actually gone ahead and started pruning some of them. As you can see, this Purple Beauty, I have clipped off the top stem. I just try to make sure that there are some baby stems emerging at the armpits below, and then I know that they're going to get these side bushy shoots going out. And that's how you want to grow your peppers, is you want to grow them bushy rather than tall and leggy. They produce a lot more that way. I've done the same over here with the Serrano Pepper. I've gone ahead and topped it off here, so it's going to grow. As you can see, these side shoots coming up, those are going to grow up, and those are the ones that are going to be I'm going to be encouraging to grow. Now I've got an experiment that I'm going to be doing here. I've topped off this one in the front. This is Poblano pepper, but in the back I've got two Italian Marconi peppers. I'm going to leave this one as is, the smaller plant, and just kind of let it grow single stem. And in contrast, I have topped off its buddy over here, another Italian Marconi pepper, and I can see that there are some side shoots growing here, so I'm going to let those grow. And I'm going to compare it to this plant. Even though it's smaller, I'm not topping it off, so hopefully that this one has been set back because of the topping off. This one will continue to grow, and we'll see how they do. I'm going to do the same over here as a demonstration. I'm going to leave the small plant, which is a mini red bell pepper, and this one is also a mini red bell pepper, and I am going to top off this plant. So I can see a lot of side shoots growing down here. I'm going to cut it off right about here. There we go. Looks pretty aggressive, but I want to make sure that they're both about the same size. This one is going to grow single stem. At least I'm not going to top it off. This one I have topped off. It's got a lot of nice new growth coming here, so hopefully that will start to bush out, and we'll see how they do. We'll see how much they produce. They're in exactly identical, similar settings here, so it should be a fairly fair experiment. So it has been 20 days since I pruned these peppers. I want to show you their progress. I had some experiments going where I had one that I topped, the other that I did not, topped or pruned, and the other that I did not, and I was going to see how they were doing against each other. First, let me start with the Purple Beauty. As you can see, it has recovered nicely from the pruning. It is bushing out beautifully. You can see in the armpits over here, you've got the nice new growth. Overall, the plant doing really, really well. This plant, I accidentally pruned it. This is a jalapeno, and I was messing around with this container here, and I accidentally broke this. But it has recovered nicely, and it is starting to bush out quite well. Over here, I have got the Serrano Pepper. Again, this is one of them that I topped. It's beautiful production of lots and lots of side shoots growing nice and thick. Now here is the experiment that I did. I had two plants. Both of them were Italian Marconi. The one on the left here was the one that I did not prune. I let it go single stem, so that's what it looks like. And then this one on the right, I pruned off, I topped it off, and you can see the branches growing quite nicely. It has almost caught up with the single stem pepper on the left, and I'm sure it's going to grow much bushier than it. Moving on to the mini bell pepper. So these are the two plants. Now there's a drastic difference between these two. The one on the right was the one that I left unpruned, and the one on the left, look at that beautiful growth. I had chopped it down till it was about the same size as the one on the right, and look at it, it's gone way past it. It is bushing out nicely. It is even starting to produce flowers. So this one is producing flowers as well, but yeah, look at the beauty on the left. It's growing so nicely. So yeah, pruning peppers when they are pretty early in their growth is a good thing so far, at least. Now I'm going to have to compare the production of the one on the left versus the right as they actually start to produce peppers through their life cycle. But overall, so far, the pruning seems to be the way to go. Another pepper experiment that I am doing. These are two California Wonder pepper plants. The one on the right was the one that I pruned, and again putting out a lot of bushy growth. I did not prune the one on the left, but what I did for this one is I actually went ahead and removed all the flowers to let it focus on leaf growth, and it is doing just that. It has produced a lot of wonderful leaves. It's producing some additional flowers, and it seems to be doing quite well. So this, I'm unsure whether the pruning helped or not, but it's kind of too early in the season to be sure one way or the other. So my first conclusion is that, as a general rule, it does seem like pruning works for all the pepper varieties that I am growing. I really want to wait till that final harvest to be able to give you a conclusion one way or another. But as far as growth goes, pruning does seem to improve the growth of the plant. So let me show you some examples. The first one I want to show you is let's see, this is the mini red bell pepper. Now this plant here is the one that I did not prune, and this plant all the way up here, at least 4 inches, maybe 6 inches taller than the one on the side here, is the one that I did prune, and it is full of flowers and definitely doing a lot better than the one on the side here. So in this particular case, the mini red bell pepper pruning does work. Let me take you over here and show you the Italian Marconi. It's hiding behind this. So this is the one that was not pruned, and this one right next to it is the one that has been pruned. Now they are approximately the same height, but the biggest difference is that the one that has been pruned has 2 pretty strong stems coming up, and the one that was not pruned has only 1 stem, as expected. But because they've now caught up and they're about the same height, I would expect that the one on the right, which was pruned, given that it's got 2 stems, is going to produce double the harvest. But we'll have to prove that later on. And just in general, folks, look at the size of these plants. In my last video, most of them, actually all of these plants here, were below the level of the rim of this tub, and now look at them. They're all well above it. I'd say around 6 inches. The tallest stem is about 6 inches taller than that rim. So they've grown between 6 and 8 inches in the last 9 days. So something to be said about pruning at the right time, which is my second conclusion, is you have to be judicious about the timing of your pruning. You can actually set the plant back if you prune it too late. And I think I did that actually with the California Wonder pepper right here. So you can see both these plants. This is the one that I pruned. And yeah, it has grown. But look at the one that I did not prune. Now these were well-established plants. These were a lot bigger than the ones that I pruned on the 1st of June. So this one I had actually pinched off a few buds. I had not actually pruned it. But yeah, the buds have all come back full force. And the one on the side, yeah, it may catch up, but I will say that I did set it back, probably by at least a few days by pruning it. So timing is important, especially if you've got a short growing season. You want to make sure that you do not prune them too late when they're too large, or you will get a reduced harvest. Over here in California, Zone 9B, I have got a very long growing season, so I can afford to do things like this and still get away with a harvest. But for those of you with a shorter growing season, the timing of when you prune is critical, and you probably don't want to prune if you started your plants a little bit late, or if your plants are pretty big at the time you realize that, hey, maybe it's time to prune. So yeah, if they're too big, don't prune them. So the third conclusion that I have so far is that there are certain varieties that tend to bush out naturally. And back to the California Wonder Pepper, that is an example of a pepper that really, I mean, it bushes out so much. This one was not pruned, but I mean, look at it. Look how bushy it is. Look how many stems it has. It's just naturally producing tons of side shoots. So yeah, you know, not all varieties need to be pruned. In contrast, look at this jalapeno. It's tall and lanky, and I just let it grow without pruning it. It's got about a dozen blossoms on it, compared to the one that I pruned accidentally. I actually broke it by accident. This one here, I actually counted the blossoms on this. Now this has not grown up to the same size as its lanky brother on the other side of this planter, but it has the same number of flowers. It's got about a dozen flowers on it. So conclusion is that the lanky plants, yeah, you probably want to prune them, but again, timing is everything. You want to prune them when they are young enough and are able to recover. And look up the varieties. Do a little bit of Googling. There are some varieties that naturally bush out and some varieties that tend to be tall and lanky. So you want to prune the ones that tend to be tall and lanky, and the ones that bush out, really, the choice is yours. You can prune them, or you can choose not to prune them. To prune or not to prune, that is the question. Anyway, I hope I've given you some pointers as to whether or not you should be pruning. I know it's not conclusive yet, but early findings tell me that pruning is a nice, healthy option for the plant and will probably likely result in an increased harvest. Well, that's all for this video, guys. I hope you learned something new, and if you liked this video, do give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel and follow along to see the progress of my peppers as I take them through harvest season. Until next time, folks, live green and love your greens.